Alright everyone, welcome back to another video today, or tonight, or whenever you're watching this, and I have a new what if. Yes, I know y'all will hate me in the comments, but I'm getting rid of a what if. This what if, you will not see any new episodes of, so sorry. But I just have to make this one, okay boys? Because I was just given a great idea. You see, someone told a couple of moments ago, I was given the idea of what if Naruto was a half kitsune, half vampire. Well, I realized I do too many Naruto what ifs and not a lot of Dekus. So I'm doing this one because I once saw this one dude do I cannot remember his name, but in his what if videos, he always has no matter what it could be what if Deku was turned into a Neko, or what if Deku was turned into a vampire. He will always be beaten and treated terribly in these what ifs, and I love the concepts this guy comes up with. I hate the outcomes, because he's always beaten and treated terribly, and you can't even find out what the ship is, because he's always used by the one person who is usually All For One's daughter, who could be a good ship. I'm seriously. This guy once made a what if Naruto, and once made a what if Deku was a half knife and was a screaming knight. Basically, the combination of a screaming death and a night fury. Something unholy, I know. Something you probably never want to see in your entire life. And even in that, he made All For One's daughter abuse him terribly. And he always makes him a villain. So I'm taking inspiration from that, but I'm not gonna torture Deku. By the way, this video will have Bat for one and I guess you could say Hero Inko, as Inko's quirk will be about 1,000 times stronger than it is in canon, and it will be fully mastered, the full-blown deal of telekinesis. As with her mind, she will also be able to manipulate energy. As I'm taking this from a Gacha Life whatever, and a Gacha Life dude, and I love the name for Inko. I am giving Hero Inko the name of Psylocke. However, in this dude's video, Inko was a villain. So yeah. So I'm making her hero, and this will have, as I explained earlier, Bat for one. Yes, All For One will have a quirk. His All For One quirk, of course. But he will be a vampire. And no, he will not be the one turning Deku into a vampire. Okay, boys? He will not. As pretty much, here is the thing. Oh, by the way, the reason why I picked out this photo was just 'cause. Look, I was thinking on. Hold on, I have to do something real quick. Alright, and I'm done. How do you think? This is basically the face he makes when his son is 3 years old and says, "Daddy, I want to be a hero." All for one. When you're trying to explain to your son he can't be a hero because you're the world's greatest supervillain. Boy. As, yes, All For One is a vampire, and yes, he's still the strongest supervillain. basically his vampiric state, given his immortality and his quirks, I'm pretty sure he would have been able to collect some quirks that gave him some abilities such as sun resistance and, well, extremely fast regeneration. So yeah, as with his vampiric abilities, All for One, pretty much after the whole beatdown with All Might, it took him about 2 months, it took him about 1 year to fully recover, but, well, his face became completely normal. As pretty much All for One is like a normal, round-the-clock dad for Izuku, as when he's near his family, he's usually in a normal tuxedo. And then when he's off at work, he's in the Count Dracula outfit. As, yes, he can turn into a bat. Just ignore Bat Izuku over there. As this is Hiro Inko's outfit. She can create, as I said, she can manipulate energy and has full telekinesis. With the manipulating energy, she can create jade weapons. Basically like a friggin' lantern, except it's more out of like a jade lightning. And she don't have a ring for it. As this is the sheep, the vampire princess, basically. As this will be Izuku's hero outfit. If you have not read the title, you are stupid. It's what if Deku was the reincarnation of Naruto, but turned into a vampire. As pretty much Deku will... Okay. After the whole vampire thing, Deku will basically turn into this. And after the whole bite thing, and after the whole turning thing, he will basically be like that. As he will be able to use chakra, and, well, yeah. Pretty much Deku's quirk is a energy manipulation quirk, as he can manipulate all 5 elements. 'Cause why the fudge not? As basically we go to when Deku is 5 years old. As he's outside, and he's 4 years old. He's outside playing with his friends, and he's in his house, with his mom and dad. And then suddenly there's a whole bunch of bloodlust around. Now, Deku and his mom do not feel good at all. Well, Deku's mom doesn't feel good at all. Now, Hisashi, of course, being the vampire king, and being a vampire, and the most powerful, or one of the most powerful, he knows exactly what is going on. But he has to pretend to be a normal human, so he pretends that the bloodlust affects him. And so he's on the ground, looking like he's having a heart attack. Or he cannot breathe. As we go to Deku, who pretty much is outside. He has Naruto's kind of hairstyle and the whiskers. His hair is green with white flowing through it. Because if you didn't know, Hisashi / All for One's hair color is is what do I call it? Oh yeah, white. As yeah, pretty much Deku has chakra modes and all that, all that good stuff. As his quirk, they call 9. They call 1 for 9, and all for 9. Well, it's a very strange quirk, I must admit, but it's very powerful indeed. As all for 9 is basically the whole elements thing, as Deku can pretty much absorb elements and then fire them back, and absorb attacks and then fire them back out. As that's the whole, all for one basic side of things. As that's why his quirk is called all for 9. As Deku basically walks outside because he's scared of her, and he basically runs outside as he's scared for his parents. And are they dying or something? So he's outside getting help. As he then sees a van of, as pretty much a whole bunch of people looking like this. Basically, yeah. In this world, there is 2 types of races. Humans and vampires. Pretty much all of the original Class A are vampires except Izawa. As Izawa, he is OG human. And he is a good human. Deku, basically imagine Deku is not there, and imagine All Might's skin a lot paler, and his hair, basically imagine his hair white, like pale Todoroki white. You know how half of Todoroki's hair is white? Imagine All Might's hair that white. As these people are they see Deku and they're walking towards him, and he just thinks, stay back! As Deku basically begins running through the streets, as they begin chasing him everywhere. And eventually, they're on top of buildings. As pretty much now, vampires don't usually have quirks, as it's a very, 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 very rare hybrid and breed you have to be for you to have a quirk. As, well, vampires, they usually go out. Now, these types of vampires, they go out and get food. What I mean by that, basically livestock. As, yes, I'm taking this one part from that dude's what if, but don't worry, it's completely different. Instead, it will be taking a much more better route of things, instead of the abused, terrified, and cruel way that one guy did it. Yeah, sorry about that. As pretty much they eventually capture Deku, and they bring him, and they basically stuff him into a van and go away, and basically drive away. As pretty much the bloodlust ends and All for One gets up. As he then basically thinks, if those curses, vampires, if those fuckers dare hurt my son at all, I will make them pay. As All for One is giving off so much bloodlust that you can feel it, that you could literally feel. Okay, how can I explain? His bloodlust would be so much that even if he was on Earth and if he was on Venus and you were on Pluto, you would not be able to breathe because of how much bloodlust he has. As that is just how much bloodlust All for One has. As pretty much the vampires, they are scared because they know, oh shit, he's angry. He is angry. Now allow me to explain. There are two types of vampire families. One of them being the Shigarakis, of course, All for One's family, and then the other being the Hayatoris and the Hayataris. As the Hayataris are basically the second most powerful, are the second most powerful vampire family, as they stay away from the Shigarakis, and, well, they do, let me just explain. No one knew who Deku's father was, as they knew he was Hisashi Midoriya. That's what the thing said. Hisashi Midoriya, not Hisashi Shigaraki, as they know that multiple people can have the name Hisashi. As, for an example, there is President Mike, who has the name Hisashi. Hisashi Midoriya, named Hisashi. And Hisashi Shigaraki, with the name Hisashi. As pretty much the vampires are pretty much driving away, as they're like, why is Hisashi Shigaraki angry? Why? Is he gonna kill someone? As then, pretty much, Vampire All Might, or Toshinori Yagi, a vampire guard, would then say, relax, he's probably just gonna kill he's probably just hunting to get some food, as we did nothing to insult him or aggravate him, so why would he be angry at us? As then Vampire Bakugo would say, you're right. And they would basically get to their base. As they, right now, have been driving for a couple of hours. Actually, a couple of days. As right now, they aren't even in Japan anymore. As they have taken that. They put the van on a boat with Deku knocked out, and right now they're in Hong Kong, China. As Hisashi as we go to Hisashi, as he's searching the whole entire thing of Japan, and he's mad. Like, you can see what appears to be happy Hisashi here, right? Well, it's pretty much All for One looks like this. As yes, he appears to be smiling, but inside, well, let me show you what is inside of All for One right now. As he looks like this. As All for One is pissed. This is his mental state, pretty much. As he wants to rip some people to shreds. As we go back to Izuku, as he wakes up. Basically, he wakes up in front of... He wakes up basically in the van as he's brought in front of a woman, and a girl. As she is the last of the... I think I named them the Hiratashi. I think I named them the Hiratashi family, as she is the heir of the whole family. As she is pretty much the last. I'm the last of her family bloodline, as pretty much she is all alone. As she sees Deku and pretty much interrogates him. As then, fun fact, I forgot to mention this, Izuku does have the vampire gene in him, but it is completely dormant. That is until he is bitten by a vampire, of course. As hold on, my god. Hey, Nick. As pretty much, she's the princess of the vampire family is asking him, well, why are you? What's your quirk? What's your name? You know, all that basic stuff. As he says, my name is Izuku Midoriya. My quirk is called All for 9. As she then gets a bit cautious about this, because they know Hazashi's quirk name and his villain name is All for 1. As they get a bit cautious, she then gets a bit cautious and says, okay. As she then asks what's his parents' quirks, you know, all that. What's their names? And she says, my mother's name is Inka Midoriya. She is the third. She's the number 3 pro hero, Psylocke. And my father, his name is Hazashi Midoriya. I have no idea what his quirk is. As she then gets a bit more worried about this, as she then says, what color is your dad's? What type of hair does your dad have? As she, right now, is just worried like all crap. As he then says, I don't know, I don't know, he's barely ever home. I mean, he's barely never home. As she basically has him come over and bites him. As she then senses, as she basically drinks his blood. And then she feels a unholy rush. As she then gets his entire bloodline, and she says, my god, that was such a rush, but holy. You idiots, you have any idea who this kid is? His father isn't just some sort of Lojo. As then there would be a knock on the door. I mean, as basically, there would be, then they would turn on, the news would be on in a separate room, as they would then hear, Prove number 1 villain, All for 1, wreaking havoc through China. It appears he's marching his way to Hong Kong for some reason. As she then says, shit. As she then basically looks over to Izuku to try and, see if he's okay, and to try and get him back to All for 1 in one piece without angering the god, angering the divine god. As she basically looks at him and sees, well, his skin is becoming, and his hair's changing, and his quirk quirk, being the power of Naruto, is taking over. As suddenly, Izuku's 4-year-old clothes basically are outstretched, as they become ripped and torn as he gets 9 tails, and his hair becomes long and purple. Fun fact, if you couldn't see, this is a guy, not a girl. As he then says, and as they then see his fangs and his eyes, basically, they look like Kurama's red slit eyes. As suddenly his hair and tails begin and ears and as suddenly a black robe, a black and purple kimono, sort of like this one, exactly like this one actually, would appear on him, as it would basically be made of fire and basically be made out of chakra and kind of have that fiery effect to it. As Naruto would basically not be able to handle the overwhelming strain of power he is indulging and he's taking on right now. As we go to All For One's point of view, as he is just wrecking havoc in basically a full armored suit. Basically imagine his basically imagine a suit of armor that kind of matches perfectly with his helmet. As he also has his helmet on, and he's just wrecking havoc with everything. And there's two vampire wings, and there's two bat wings coming out of the back of the suit. As All For One is pissed. As he basically is in Hong Kong and he says, Hiratashi family, come out right now with my son unharmed. As he is out of the way of cameras and everyone, so they can't see him, but right now he's out of his armor, or basically his armor basically reverse Iron Man, as you know how Iron Man in the Infinity War movie presses a thing on his chest and then his armor comes out. Basically imagine his armor going back into like a ring on his finger, transforming into a ring on his finger. As All For One then says, basically he's like this, and in this pose, and he says, why on earth would you dare take my son? As Miss Hiratashi, or Rhea Hiratashi, would then say, Hisashi Shigaraki, look, we are sorry, and, something is wrong with your son. I bit him, and something is changing in him. Something unexpected. As he then says, crap. It appears, as he then says, my worst fears have come to pass. As he then says, Izuku is technically quirkless. However, he has a special elemental manipulation called, which we have named, which I basically gave the name of a quirk. And I basically named it as a quirk, as I call it All For 9. As his quirk allows him to manipulate elemental energy around him into different types of attacks and abilities. It's pretty broken. However, you have made a big no-no. You see, when he has the vampire gene dormant in him, but he is not a a pure-blooded vampire yet until a vampire bites him, because his mother is a human. Do you understand what you have just done? As she then says, oops. Then right this way. As Rhea brings All For One to where Izuku is, as he sees his son shape-shifting into a mess of black and purple, as he then says, help! help, help. As then, pretty much Izuku's chakra is going rampant as he accidentally and possibly unconsciously creates. As Deku's entire body begins glowing purple and black like this. As then armor begins to form around him, as he then turns into this. As 9 tails begin forming, as then we get this. As Naruto is in a full-on Rage Purple Kurama mode. Trust me, I have no idea how hard it is to find a Purple Kurama form, so I had to do with the Purple Susanoo mode. I'm sorry. As pretty much Deku is just screaming in pain. As then his father says, crap. As then says, you fool. You foolish Hiratashi. You see, my son has before gone into the first stage, which is the purple and black humanoid, and the purple and black small form, and he has been able to break an entire school in half in that form, and make some cracks in the school and cause an earthquake. And make some cracks in the road and cause an earthquake. Who knows? Now that he's in the third stage, who knows what power he could hold? He could rip the earth in half for all we know. As then he says, damn, think. As then he says, I got it. And as Hisashi then says, I got it. As she's like, and as Raya then says, what? You got what? As he then says, the way to beat my son. And the way to calm down my son. As pretty much All For One walks out. Hold on. As Hisashi then gets a brilliant idea. Pretty much the only way to calm down Deku. As he then says, and I'ma just say, it's the one way that even Italian men cannot, and that even Italians can't stand. As he then walks up to the giant 9-tailed purple fox formed Izuku. As he then says, you're breaking your mother's heart! As Izuku then begins to cry, as he then turns into his, new base form. As he then turns into this form, as he's still a 4, so he's about the size of Canon Izuku. I'm Canon 4-year-old Izuku. As he then says, I don't want to break Mom's heart. As then Izuku, and as then All For One then says, thank God that worked. If it didn't, I don't know what I would have done. As it then says, well, you're lucky I was able to sustain my son and calm him down. But next time, but if something like this ever happens again, he might go fully rampaged. And then I won't be able to stop him. As pretty much All For One says this with complete and full I mean it in his voice. As he then, and as she then says, yes, Shigaraki. Yes, Hisashi Shigaraki. Pretty much, she then says, wait, I have a proposal for you. As then Hisashi says, a proposal? Of what? As Hisashi is actually intrigued by this. He wonders, what does the Hiratashi girl want to say? As she then says, look, I know your family and my family have never really... I know you and my family have never really seen eye to eye on anything. But I am the last of my family, and I need help. As Hiratashi, as then All For One says, wait. You need my help. You need my help. Since you asked so nicely, fine. What do you need? As she then says, I need you to set up a arranged marriage with your son when he becomes of age. Now, Hisashi is completely taken aback by this, as he then says, why an arranged marriage? Why? As he is confused why his sworn enemies would want, and the last of his sworn enemies would want to have an arranged marriage with his son. Hold on. Sorry. As he then says, I suppose. Alright. Here's the deal. You and your you and your guards and everything can move to Japan, my territory. As I and my family will take good care of you. When you become of age, about 16, and my son decides what he wants to do with his life, then you and my son will be able to be officially, legally married. Until then, I need him to be adjusted to you, so you are going to be living in Japan, and basically, you will be like a best friend for him. As then, Rhea then says, it's a deal. As he then says, good. As the two then shake hands, as Rhea then says, alright everyone, we are moving out. As she basically contacts all of her workers and everything, as she says, we're moving to Japan. As then basically Vampire Lita would then say, wait, but Miss Hiratashi, wouldn't that be in Hisashi Shigaraki's district? His property? As she then said, yes, but I and him have a deal. And, in fact, it will reignite both of our family bloodlines. I and his son will be having a arranged marriage. As you might be wondering, wait, how old is Raya Hiratashi? Well, allow me to explain. Raya Hiratashi is 5 right now. As she's getting the best of the best in learning and all that curriculum and stuff. As, well, her father, pretty much she is able to say full, complicated paragraphs, like sentences, in a matter of seconds right now. As that's how she's talking right now without going all, okay? As pretty much her entire group then says, yes, mistress, yes, Madam Hiratashi. As the whole place, as they begin to pack up, and basically, they began moving to Japan. As time skip to the age of, 8. As for 4 years, Izuku Midoriya, Izuku Shigaraki, and Raya Hiratashi have become close friends. As Rei and Izuku have grown feelings towards each other. As pretty much, I forgot to mention this. Yes, she does have vampire versions of Class 1A, but human versions of Class 1A, and all of them still do exist. Okay. Basically, the vampire versions just go by completely different names, and I'm calling them by just vampire original name, because I'm too lazy to come up with completely new names. As one OC is far too much for me right now. Okay? Zano? Is that a combination of Zeno and God? I can't get the what? Nanny? What? Back to the wife. As pretty much. So yeah. The douche that is Bakugo still exists. As pretty much Izuku and, his new girl Izuku and Raya are pretty much walking around, just talking with each other, as they're basically in elementary school. As Bakugo walks up, thinking he's the shit, as he then says, "Hey you, why you over there with that? Why you over there with that? That's useless extra when you could be here with me." As he's obviously talking to, Raya, as for the entire day, he keeps hitting on Raya, and this really is nerving Izuku. As he then says, alright, then how about this? As he basically is going near, basically trying to kiss her and holding her again, and he's holding her against the wall and about to kiss her without her permission. As Izuku, he has no clue why, but he's in somewhat angry about this. As he then says, and pretty much he flips into this form, as he is at the speed of thought, he rushes towards Bakugo and is holding him by the neck against the wall, as he then says, "Do not touch Rei." As Bakugo can see Izuku's black voids that are eyes. As, hold on, my idiot brother has just connected to the TV. My god. Hold on. Sorry about that. As Bakugo is basically looking into Izuku's eyes and sees no fear, no hesitation, no remorse, just black and purple pits of endless nothingness. As then Deku then says, "Are we clear?" As then Bakugo says, crystal. Hold on. As pretty much the school ends, nothing, and the school day ends, nothing else important there. As we skip to the last day of school, as Bakugo basically is talking about how he's the shit and everyone else is weak and useless. As Izuku says, "Oh really, Bakugo?" As then Bakugo says, basically stops talking for a couple of seconds. As he begins stuttering and says, "Whatever, nerd." Has pretty much, nothing else important there. During the sludge villain attack, Izuku bodies the sludge villain. And Izuku and his girl, they get to Izuku's house. As basically, for the 10 months, they talk and don't really train because they're already overpowered as all hell. Hold on, sorry, I'm eating. As Izuku and his friend, Izuku and Rhea, basically they're at the entrance exam area as they get done with the written part as they smash it with intelligence that makes Nezu jealous, as pretty much they're at the entrance part as then President Mike then says, "Alright, 3, 2, 1. And that's where I'm ending this part off. Sorry if it got a bit rushed, as my parents have enforced a new rule to the point where for a couple of weeks, or I don't know how long, I can only be up on my phone till 7:30. And as you can see in the corner, it's 7:14. Sorry, goodbye. Hope y'all enjoy this video. I'm sorry.